for you to succeed, you need to have your partners also taken along the journey. Gone are the days of predictability in terms of how business is going to move. Now the biggest bridging what we need to do is between business and design. At one point in time, they had come a little more closer, but today if you look at it, I believe they are moving a little apart because business is acting under tremendous pressure. But I believe it's also imperative of the designers to start taking more ownership in terms of driving things, rather than being told. Like I was saying, my book is on connecting business and design. What are those UX skills that can really help business, and the other way? How can design translate business requirements in a much better fashion so that they are automatically part of the discussion?
Yeah. Groundbreakin.
Hi Pradeep, welcome to the Groundbreakin. How's it going?
Going really good, man. Thank you for inviting me here. Yeah.
Pradeep, been a really fan of your work and your journey. Would love to, if you could introduce yourself to the audience, a little bit about your journey and kind of stuff you've been doing.
Yeah, it's been a very long journey. I would say it's almost like the Bangalore traffic. You have nice, great roads, but you also get speed bumps and speed breakers and things like that. Very interesting. When it comes to talking about career as such. I've been in this field for 27 plus years now. I'm basically a mechanical engineer. Did my master's in product design from IDC IIT Bombay. Started my career as an industrial designer. Incidentally, one of my first projects, this was a defibrillator for the medical equipment division of PPL. It used to be one of the premier consumer durables company in India at that point in time. Incidentally, that model is still in the market. I happened to see it just 2 years ago. And so I'm very happy to see that even after 25 years plus of being in this area, the product is still in the market. From there, I moved on to understand a little bit on the user research side. And from there, moved mostly into the software realm. And starting with usability, as the buzzword at that point in time. User experience was not even in the picture then. Been fortunate to work with a bunch of great companies, Intel, Bosch, Honeywell, and of course, my latest outing was with Google, where I was managing a team for the Google Cloud, especially on the infrastructure side. Yeah, and so very fulfilling journey, I would say, all along. And then I thought it's also time to take a short break, and I got into writing. Yeah, publisher had approached me some time back, and so I'm in the process of writing a book. In addition, I'm also just starting my PhD with IIM Kozhikode. And one of the topics which is very close to my heart, it's on sustainable software development using UX as one of those change agents.
Yeah, amazing journey, Pradeep. Um, I have got bunch of industrial designers who have led great design organization and not maybe specifically are still working around the physical design space. I think I've also talked about how like if you understand industrial design, how you can also be fit into different roles. So that's a good pattern with you. Also, I've seen Pradeep. I think y- there's no one better than you who should write a book about design specifically, or a world around design, because you've led one of the largest innovative brands like Honeywell, Google, right? Would love to know the kind of stuff you've been doing throughout these large organization, not just from a design point of view. I basically trying to understand that what actually have changed when you were shifting from maybe say design for aerospace to design for cloud.
Well, every area has its own set of nuances, and the main thing what I believe and what has kept me alive and probably successful is the the learning aspect. I, there's a quote by Mark Twain which says, "To succeed, you need to have two things in life. One is ignorance, and the second thing is confidence." Right? Ignorance to say that, look, I don't know enough. Right? I don't know, and I need to learn. Confidence is that I still can do it. Right? Just jump into things and then
Yeah.
learn by doing. Right? And you fail many times. You fall down. You stumble. But that's okay. It's part of the learning journey. So I've worked across at least 7 different verticals. Each of them have its own sets of challenges, right? Moving from a consumer durables to a consulting company, wherein you are delivering things on an hourly basis to a client whose requirements also changes very frequently and rapidly, back to much larger corporations where things move at its own pace, where you might not you might have different ideas in terms of how products have to be pushed, but all in all, also learning that design is not an isolated function, right?
Yeah.
For you to succeed, you need to have your partners also taken along the journey. So that has been a big learning, because typically from design schools, at least during our times, we all came out with this notion that, hey, we are there and we can change the world, right? Now you realize that, no, yeah, you can change the world along with others. So that has again been another big learning. So if you ask me to summarize it, definitely it has been the learning part, being curious, trying to look at newer things, methods, tools, etc. The confidence to do things, and the third thing is collaboration, right? We're working alongside others. So, yeah.
Yeah. I also like the topic that you're researching about. I think we are living in a space where things are moving so fast. We are doing things without even thinking about the consequences of it. Especially talking about AI, and building softwares. Now we have AI agents, right? What's your core crux of this research that you've sort of going into and pursuing?
Well, we all love to talk about sustainability, right? But at the same time, are we willing to um, pay a price for it? Obviously not, right? Or there are, it makes a hard choice. From a tangible product perspective, right? We have seen sustainability gaining a lot of ground, reusable and more eco-friendly materials, recyclability, etc. But when it comes to software, we are pretty much at the very bottom of what could really be achieved. Now, what are the reasons for it? When I was in uh, different companies, we used to have conversations with our engineering counterparts, and especially how do they work? How do they see a software being built and released into this world? What are their kind of thinking, thoughts, etc.? It's quite different from what we think, right? As designers, we think it from multifaceted ways. We think about the user, we think about the market, we think about how it's going to impact, what kind of feedback are we going to get it, and then we work on day in and day out. But that's not the thinking process for many of the other functions. So my attempt or kind of research that want to do is, how can design be kind of a change agent for people to make more conscious choices right from the time you're developing a product, so that ultimately you are contributing to a more sustainable output, to have an outcome of meeting the UN sustainability goals. Yeah. But it's again, I don't expect any quantum changes. I'm just looking at even a 0.1 0.2% change, right? This is especially true when it comes to, if you look at technology today, it's making life a lot easier now, right? In a lot many ways, right? There is a convenience factor, there is productivity aspect, etc. You don't want to compromise on that. Now, there's also this very interesting paradox called Jevons paradox, right? So it essentially talks about when things become, technology makes things much more easier to do, the consumption also goes up. It's like, you
Yeah.
have a car, cars become much more fuel efficient. You think, okay, the overall fuel consumption, petrol, gasoline consumption is going to go down. No, because they are much more efficient. People take longer trips. People might use it for different purposes, etc., and the consumption goes up. So we are in kind of a similar situation. But as designers, what are those tiny minor aspects, which also includes a lot more from a behavioral standpoint, right? Those nudges. Can we bring that as part of the workflow, starting from the developer? And now with AI in place, right? Can we do that right from the time we create those, basic models to be to have these kind of sustainability um, driven principles to be built in as part of the basic model itself, which will help us to achieve the goals much faster than orienting and then preparing the developers to deliver something in that fashion. So again, very audacious, very ambitious, I know, but I really wanted to start from
Yeah.
there and see where it goes.
Yeah, I think I genuinely feel like this is something, a need of the hour that I think more, at least we should have a bunch of folks actually constantly talking about it, or at least there's a whole bunch of orgs who should be talking about it. Uh, Pradeep, what I also need to understand, like since you're working in a space and you're handling organization, you're making sure that things are moving in a certain pace and also having that vision. But on an individual level, what do you think? How we can be maybe more sustainable towards our use of AI, or maybe some software consumption habit that we can always talk about the tangible things like producing waste and all of that. But what about the how we are maybe not being very sustainable about our using of tech in general, especially when every day there's new stuff coming along, and we are in the name of tokens, we are maybe might be using a lot of energy, and I'm sure that it's maybe gonna get better, but would love to hear from you.
Sure. See, Deepak, I think the basic thing is to uh, start paying attention to uh, what we are doing from a sustainability perspective. Right, that itself is, in my opinion, a first step. The second thing would be to maybe do an audit in terms of how your processes are, what kind of areas do require attention, where can you cut down on certain things, etc. Right now, there are a lot of tools available which can help you to do that audit. And one of my friends, she's in Singapore. She's running she was again a Googler, moved out of Google and then doing a auditing for companies in terms of their carbon footprint and the other ways in which the energy consumption can be minimized or reduced. Right. Uh, the other thing is, if you look at big cloud players like Google, we used to have a kind of a dashboard to tell you exactly how much of carbon is being the footprint is being taken up by each of those processes and the associated dollar value to it. The moment you see a dollar value, right, then you start paying attention to it. Now, however, how to tweak it and how to moving from a red line to a green line, right? So that is where we are still not in that space to arrive at a very what do you call amicable solution when it comes to versus cost versus consciousness, right? You know that certain things are
Yeah.
going to burn things, but yeah, obviously you don't want to delay for maybe due to market pressures or other things. So in a nutshell, it's not yet we are not yet there in terms of proposing, yeah, you do one, two, three things and then you suddenly become sustainable. But yeah, starting with the audit would definitely help.
Yeah. I also feel that no, I while we talk about sustainability, I think this is also important for humanity, right?
Yeah.
Believe it or not, I think whatever people talk about, that okay, the cost of moving ahead as a humanity, I think could be a lot. What do you think about people who are maybe get being living in uncertainty? I'm talking specifically in terms of people losing jobs, and also there's this sort of a confusion that's going around organization. What are your thoughts around that before I go into specifics?
Yeah, so this is the other thing. Good that you brought it up, Deepak. When we talk about sustainability, is not just the consumption of energy or the natural resources. It goes far beyond. And even if you look at the UN sustainability goals, it goes all the way from clean air, clean water, poverty eradication to livelihood to education, and it goes to the very basic necessities for human beings. And so this is again what we should really be paying attention to. It's not just about okay, I reduced X amount of energy, and then okay, I'm good, I'm sustainable. No, and there are a lot of those kind of facets also which comes into play. And one of those very crucial areas, especially if you look at developing countries or societies, would be in terms of biases, right? And we've seen the risks of AI models being biased, right? So this is again a very, very sensitive and very critical area. I believe that as designers, we should also be looking at how do we mitigate or we ensure that sustainability extends all the way to even covering those kind of areas. So this is where I mean it's a very fascinating field, if you may ask, right? And I'm only hoping that more designers come into this area, not just saying, oh, okay, yeah, this is something like a utopian dream or anything like that. No, it's coming all the way till the very fundamental basics of humanity, and how we can be more human-centered designers. I think Don Norman
Yeah.
coined this word, saying that becoming human-centered designers. I think that's what we all need to be looking at now.
Yeah. uh, Pradeep, you have spent almost 3 decades into organization who are sort of probably the most maybe top 1%, most important organizations, right? And I'm sure you've been into spaces where you've seen this switch from using different tech stack to what's the industry is demanding. uh, are we facing something similar now, or do you think this time it's different and this is gonna disrupt things in a different way?
I think every time we see a change, we think, oh, this is going to be, this is nothing like what happened in the past, right? But I think we as humanity have seen these kind of changes in the past. Obviously, I mean, AI is a big step, and it's a very radical change for sure. But I am of this strong belief that we will be able to, weather it, and we will be able to, master it. I mean, not a, I know apple to apple comparison, because when I started my career, right, we all used to draw and do renderings by hand, right? Then suddenly these flashy tools like Alias came, wherein you could do things on a Wacom tablet,
Yeah.
pretty expensive. But then the question was, hey, can it really replicate the human hand? Can it really help you with the pressure sensitivity and things like that? It did, right? And now we're not even talking about doing hand renderings or anything.
Yeah.
When we initially, when engineers used to build things, right, they had those drafting boards to make 2D drawings. And then when the 3D software came in, there was a huge resistance in terms of adapting to that. And oh no, this is not going to work the same way, etc. Of course, initially there were problems, but today are we even talking about those? Similarly, when we say, oh, okay, this tool can do everything with the prompt, yeah, it can do, but there's much more to it, that as a designer you can contribute to it than just feel that, hey, I'm being threatened by a few lines of code or interface which is existing somewhere.
Yeah.
So I mean, again, this is not a um, just bringing in a sense of optimism. It's more of a belief, saying that we are much bigger than this, and we will be able to definitely come out trumps.
Yeah. No, very interesting time. I mean, I get to talk to a lot of designers, even you know, with our clients. We see different problem statements every other day. But from the outside, of course, we don't get, since bunch of we work with bunch of enterprises, and of course we are not in spaces where we get a lot of information, right, because of confidentiality. But at the same time, what I've been seeing from the outside is the uncertainties that enterprises are facing these days. And I'm talking about all the large enterprises, right, where suddenly they have to, if compete with much younger product companies, much younger organization. And when we there was a time which was not maybe very long ago, where you were planning things for like next 6 months, what you're gonna do, what an organization gonna do in next 9 months. Everything's getting disrupted. Like, how do you think are we tackling that, and where are we moving according to your experience, and how these companies are operating?
Yeah. So, like you said, right, previously companies used to have this vision documents, and beginning of year, the CEO would come and say, "Oh, this is our vision. This is what the foreseeable future is. This is how we are going to march towards it." You don't see those slide decks anymore, right? Because gone are the days of predictability in terms of how business is going to move. But at the same time, as designers, we should be able to pick up signals. So this is where I strongly, endorse my team to say, hey, you read, you look at what is happening, not just from the intranet of the company, which always talks about, oh, we've been, great in these areas, blah, blah, blah. You also look at what's happening in the industry. Look at some of those, talk shows, podcasts, wherein they talk about really what is emerging, how things are changing, and we are all interconnected, right? It's not just about what is happening on the software side. It's also what is happening on the socio-political side, what's happening on the economic side. All of them are kind of drivers now, right? So why this is again my thought, that why we are sensing this change which is brought together by AI, it's a lot made a lot more painful because a lot of other factors as well. The economic situation in the world, right, caused by wars and other unrest. So I think these are again also factors which are contributing to what we feel as the big disruption from AI. Had it been maybe 5 years ago where the economic situation was different, probably we would not have felt it this way. So there is a lot of these things also which comes into play, and so it becomes very very important for you to be aware of it, and then uh, understand why things are happening, and realize the fact that you're not acting in isolation, right? Whatever if the company CEO is trying to do, it's not just because of they know what they're going to do or anything like that. Huge uncertainties, they don't know. It's a quarterly basis now, right? I mean, and you're also making projections based on a lot of assumptions, and today one decision taken in one part of the world can completely change things for you. At the same time, this is where it's also become very important for you to be adaptable, right? And not to say that you don't have any goal in mind. Yes, of course, you need to have a goal, but you need to be ready to recalibrate it and work towards that. And so we used to talk about this making more reversible decisions than hardened ones. So be ready to change, because but you decide. So which means you take a call. You may say that, hey, this is how we are going to do this project. This is what we are going to do from this feature perspective, or this is how we are going to run this stuff for the next quarter or so. At the same time, make sure that none of these decisions are not reversible. You still be able to change it. And yes, that's the order now. And I think I mean, I'm comfortable with that. So there was also this saying that now being comfortable with discomfort, right? And so this is where I see that many times people are not comfortable with this level of flux and change. Unfortunately, I believe always there is less that you can do, right? Things are not in your control in most of the times. And I am of the firm believer that whatever is not within your control, you should just let go, right? manage what is
Yeah.
within your control. But yeah, so overall, very uncertain time, and it's not just the large enterprises. Even if you talk to small MSMEs, right, they are also facing huge uncertainties. So, for example, I was talking to one of my relatives. They make um, coloring agents for the food industry, and these are completely natural, made out of natural products and vegetable, fruit, etc. And absolutely, they made sure it's 100% organic and no artificiality involved in it. And now he's saying that, look, we are now facing this uncertainty because many of the customers who used to pay the premium for these products, right? They are saying that, can we also have a blend of, yeah, we understand we wanted organic stuff, but things are different now. Can you also have some blend of this and that? Asking them to kind of water down this. He's saying, look, I don't even know how to weather that. And now this is a very small company, more like 10, 12 people, MSME enterprise. So even they are facing this kind of pressures because of what is happening in the economic world. And so, yeah, I mean, you might be able to read about a lot of the big companies in limbo and not able to know this, but on the ground, there are also a lot of other people who are being affected by what's happening.
Yeah. I was a few days back. I was reading this article, forgetting the author, and they had mentioned that the time that we are living in, where for example Google Stitch came up with something that converts your prompts into UIs, um, and the author said design deeper to differentiate, right? What do you think when they say design deeper? What does the deeper part mean?
Well, I think this is again what I believe, and I've been, kind of talking to my team while I was at Google, and we also started this effort to um, isolate or kind of categorize the kind of effort that is required for every project, right? And then look at eliminating a lot more of those efforts, which could be augmented by a tool. So, for example, when you have research done, right? We have research going on almost on a daily basis, and they generate a lot of these reports. And are we able to kind of digest the information and bring it out into nuggets, right? How can we kind of concise and then bring it out for consumption for different audience, right? This is today possible through many of the tools. We started working with it when Notebook LM was, in its very early days,
Yeah.
and it used to. I mean, compared to today, it was very, very rudimentary at that point in time. But we still started doing that, and then there was some value in doing this. Plus, what we realize is that the research repository, right, it has tons of information already in there. But who's going to look at each and every report, open it up, every 80 to 100 slides, information, and that's exactly where an AI tool can do that for you. Similarly, if you have design systems in place, and then you have what the workflow is going to be, or spend time in terms of creating those workflows. Can we automate in creating them into the UI part of it? Today the tool can do it. And so eliminating a lot of those manual processes, which probably would take away more of the designers time, and like you said, invest that into designing deeper. So today we are able to do a lot more of the thinking and than the doing part of it. uh, at least in in certain
Yeah.
areas it really helps. And so this is again what I have experienced at least, and then see that this can make a change.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I get into a conversation about is I think I've been in rooms where design has been done according to a delivery expectation, according to a delivery function. Uh, and very few times that it happens that these decisions are influenced by product designers. Where are we seeing designers fitting into this conversation? Because I think the roles of like a PM and maybe designers and even a front end developers are sort of mixing up. What do you think is like the sort of like a point? What's like the tipping point of being into these spaces where okay, and how the design is gonna be used? Because I think once we have a business requirement and they know what they have to do, maybe product designers are not important in that case. Where are we going with this? Of course we are moving different roles, we are moving different expectation out of an individual, but what are your thoughts on to like what could be the tipping point to all of this?
I think there are multiple reasons for why it is happening. One of the reason could be the company culture itself, how design is valued in that organization. Where do you place design, right? And this I've seen varies from company to company, and to a good extent, it also influences how designers are involved in the decision making, etc. Right? But I also see another problem of designers not being able to connect to the business decisions or the business aspects as much as we would want them to. Right? So this is where we still have a bit of a if I mean again, this is my theory. I mean, so you have business, you have design, you have engineering, right? And each of them have a bridge between them. So the initial struggle was to have the bridge between design and engineering, right? Oh, they don't understand what we build, they make very poor outcome, this is not what I gave, etc. Right? That complaint or those level of grievances are coming down a lot because we are able to translate things better from a design to engineering or the development perspective. Better tools. If you look at industrial design, you have much better visualization tools, things which can be straight away taken to a rapid prototyping to a production, etc. Similarly with this new gen tools, right? Whatever you design, you can also generate code, and so it actually goes into production in that way. Plus, I believe engineers have also started understanding design better than what it used to be. But the now the biggest uh, bridging what we need to do is between business and design. At one point in time, they had come a little more closer, but today, if you look at it, I believe they are moving a little apart because business is acting under tremendous pressure. So they are the first ones
Yeah,
to face the
yeah.
market, right?
They handle the bread and
They
butter.
handle the bread and butter, and they face the customer, and who is again facing a lot of uncertainty. So they are making things more reactive. The decision making is more reactive, and it's not being communicated across the organization in the measure that each of them would perceive it and then say that, oh yeah, now I understand it. Now, where does the problem lie? Okay, we can always say, oh, they don't tell anything, or they change the requirements, they just say you do this or make it, this is a spec, etc. Or you try to be the bridge builder, try to understand that side a little bit more, and also work with them in a more collaborative fashion, right? Yes, I mean, the thought process might be completely different between the business and the design, or you might find a lot more of gaps in there. But I believe it's also imperative of the designers to start taking more ownership in terms of driving things, rather than being told. So this again, we are moving
Yeah.
into that area wherein uh, one of the ways to, or probably some of the best ways to address this, being the bridge builder, and also showing that you understand, you are sensitive not just from the user's perspective. We talk about the users, oh, this is what the user wants, this is what
Yeah.
but do we know what does the company CTO want, or what are the pressures that they are going through, right? And then act accordingly, saying that okay, this is how we are going to do the road mapping. We understand, right? And there has been budget cuts. There have been these kind of uh, uh, dynamic changes. There could be merger, there could be acquisitions, which again drops down on suddenly features being dropped because some XYZ company acquired PQR company, and so things have to be changed, especially from a large enterprise context. Now this is where again, like I was saying, my book is on connecting business and design, right? What are those UX skills that can really help business, and the other way, how can design translate business requirements in a much better fashion so that they are automatically part of the discussion, and so they don't feel excluded. Nobody has to invite them, right? You're part of it. We always talk about seat at the table. You are there, in
Yeah.
one of the stakeholders, and you behave, you act up, and you own up, right? Without that, it's not going to happen. Saying that, okay, I need to be invited, I need to be pulled in. Well,
Yeah.
good luck. But then this is what my experience has also been, right? Sometimes you simply have to take that extra step and you know be a little more forcing function than
Yeah.
what you would like to be.
Yeah. Uh, Pradeep, are you like a big user of AI usually? And I would love to know how a sort of a design leader uses AI, and do you think you have some tips to share with us?
If you ask me whether I'm a big user, I don't know how to qualify, quantify a big user part of it. But I've always been dabbling with tools right from the time it came on. And in Google, we used to have this dog fooding part, right? You could sign up for many of these experiments, and you would be really playing with some really cool features, not just from one area or the other. And I always used to love doing those kind of tiny experiments, etc. And even today, I do feel that this is again giving us a better opportunity to kind of reinvent ourselves. Yeah, we do like to be in that comfort zone of, oh, okay, this is how I used to do things. But yeah, suddenly the tables have shifted
Yeah.
now. Yeah, we need to adapt and move. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've been constantly learning. Like lately, been seeing a lot of people, showing their process of using AI, and because I think from someone who's trying to run a design team and trying to have services that can be bought by these organizations, I always try to see things as to what more I can do, and what the how can I bring more value to to the task I have assigned. What do you think, like how are these organization are look like seeking into external design partners, and what do you think, how can I have that unfair advantage of them choosing me at every point? What sort of values that you think as an external design team can bring to the table?
So this again goes back to the company philosophy and a little bit on the cultural part of, are you open to involving external partners as part of your core R&D, or are you just looking at augmenting some tasks with them, right? Each of the companies have a different varying view. For example, in Honeywell, we used to have partners who were like long-term contracted design agencies sitting alongside with the same team members, and they're just part of one large team. It was a little different when it is in Bosch and Google. It's different, and each of the businesses also treat that differently. But however, I do believe that the external viewpoint, right, the outside in, can definitely help the team, but you need to involve them. You need to make them part of your team. You just can't say say that, hey, I hired this agency to do XYZ tasks. No, then it doesn't help, right? You need to make them part of the core work. So that's what we used to do in my team in Google, right? Even when we hire interns, we used to put them in the room from day one in terms of all the hardcore discussions, and saying that, look, this is what we are, and this is how we expect you also to pick up things and be part of the outfit. And so this is again, like I said, right, it varies from company to company. But today, if you ask me, this is exactly where the one of the spaces what external agencies can play in terms of helping the organization to settle down. If you look at a lot of these organizations are in a high state of panic and
Yeah.
they in a state of flux. Can we come out? Can you guys come out with a model to say, hey, look, we understand all these things. Now, this is where we are trying to play it in terms of helping you calm the nerves, managing things while things are in flux, and then make things a little more steadier than what it is currently. So that could be an area. I mean,
Yeah.
of course,
I love that
things
point.
have to be detailed out.
Yeah.
But just going in as a service provider, we can do the whole thing,
Yeah.
with a pamphlet saying that we do from A to
That's
B.
like cutting yourself too thin. I think I've made that mistakes in the beginning of running the org. Um, Pradeep, I think I would also, now I'm sure you've hired at this point like hundreds of people at this point, built organizations, and have seen all sort of applications people have sent you. What are these organizations looking for at this point? I mean, are they looking for very high craft? Because this is what we've, at least from this side of the world, like I've always thought that if I want to go in a brand, in a company like Google, I need to be from a great college. I need to know my craft really, really well. And of course, it's for organization, it's comparatively easier for them to choose someone from, say, IIT Bombay, right? But I think it's shifting now. I have seen people who are from okay colleges are getting some good roles. What's the pattern of say Google hiring designers, and what do you think are the bunch of things that people should have in them in order to be a part of such team?
I think what you started off with, right? The kind of uncertainties in organizations with respect to how to hire, what to hire even, right? That's very real because the workflows or whatever we have known till now, things are changing. So it's not just from design perspective, even from engineering, even from a PM, right? Do we even really need a PM, right? That's the kind of question
Yeah,
companies
that's
have.
been a hot conversation for
Yeah,
some
yeah.
reason.
So, to be honest, or this is my observation, companies are in a flux when it comes to how to constitute a team for 26 or 27 or forget 28. I mean, even rest of 26 or even early part of 27, right? So they're still in that level of uncertainties. So if you don't know things, what do you rely on? Something from the past. You pull out an job description from the past, look at it, edit it, say, hey, sprinkle AI everywhere, right? And then say, oh, okay, we need some people, and we're just looking for this kind of a person. I think that's not how we should be doing things.
Yeah,
But
it's
of
it's
course,
crazy that a bunch of companies are doing that, and which is it's sort of funny. Like people are sharing screenshots of the job description and
yeah,
like
yeah.
putting it out.
Yeah. The second part is what you asked about, right? I mean, specifically to some what could be some of the entry criteria getting into companies. Obvious, Google is quite different from other companies, but I really love the process there. It's very democratic, and it's probably the only company where I have seen where the recruiter tries to make you succeed.
Hmm.
So every discussion you are encouraged, you are helped, you are coached. In fact, as hiring manager, we are told that hey, these are the steps, and you need to talk to the candidate or inform the candidate as to what stage of the process you are in, what is expected at this stage, etc. And these things are pretty transparent and clear. It's all there, all over the web into the different stages when it comes to hiring in Google. Yes, initially when I came in 2021, I mean, obviously the things were, oh, we have IITs and NIDs for hiring. We said, no, we need to open it up. And I think from 5 colleges uh, till last year, I think we had managed to increase it to some 20 plus, right? Including many other organizations as well. But these are more from the campus hires. But lateral hires, obviously, the uh, it's all about meeting the requirements with respect to what the business is looking for. What challenges have you done in the past? Not really about which institute or what's the tagline.
Yeah.
What chapa do you have? It doesn't have that. And I have a history of hiring people from all different kinds of backgrounds. And I'll tell you, I mean, this was in Bosch. I um, wanted to hire a person who was BA in history, but one of the best designers and design managers and design leaders he became eventually. The funny thing is that he did not even have his degree certificate. It was in Kolkata, and he never even bothered to go and get the degree certificate. HR said, Pradeep, we can't hire. He's not an engineer. He's doesn't even have his certificate. I said, wait. I made this person travel back to Kolkata, get a certificate, and I hired him. And I'm very proud to say that he turned out to be one of the best we have hired. Another person, similarly, BCom, BA history, or I don't know, BCom or something like that, second class. Right? Again, the same set of struggle to work with the HR in terms of saying that no, the risk is on me, I'll take it. Now, luckily, I mean, this is again where your ability to
Yeah.
negotiate and
What were
influence.
what were the common things that you maybe see in both that you were ready to take that bet?
See, obviously, I mean, you look at what they have done from a portfolio perspective, right? But the moment you start talking to them and how they relate to what kind of problems that you are trying to solve, and how are they able to come in and not just able to solve them, but also help you change the thinking. Because I'm a strong believer in having very divergent thinking. I don't want anybody who thinks like me to be in the team. So we used to have multiple people, different personalities, having the interviews and things like that. And so I mean, personally, for me, these tags or stamps doesn't really matter. But of course, from the organizations, more like a filtering, or
Yeah.
from that perspective, they still look for some of those known institutes.
Yeah. Love these inputs, Pradeep. I think more and more people, like I know so many people who want to work at Google, right? It's like the ultimate goal, right? It's like if you're a designer, if you're a product designer, where do you want to work? It's Google or Microsoft. And I've actually been, lucky to be in rooms where, I've had a chat with such leaders. And everyone just been what some of the common things that they've said is that okay, now moving forward you need to know everything, you need to be a person who's ready to change their roles. But how far are we thinking? I mean, i'm a if I'm a designer, if I know, I understand, I know how to, I know UX processes, I understand the the bigger objective of the project I'm doing. uh but can I be an engineer, right? And as an organization, I'm sure like as a designer you are, you can't do more than the task that is assigned to you. Do you think that's going to change, or do you think that's the right way of thinking, or you just is it, are we in a space where we are sort of crashing domains? Crashing might not be the right word, but like merging them into each other or being like fluid around that, because that's happening in like startups, like funded startups who are doing actually very innovative, doing great. Or what do you think, where are these organizations moving when it comes to this?
There's a lot of talk about uh, companies looking for more generalists these days, who can do bit of this, bit of that, and just everything in between. Um, so this is again where we need to understand design as a function. We've always been good in solving problems. So if you see that there is even a problem in the process, we should be able to solve that, rather than saying that, look, I'm a designer, I'll do only these things, right? Now today, if the problem is in terms of how your designs or your idea being manifested into something tangible, there's a problem, right? And how do you solve that? Do you just say that, hey, the engineer assigned to me, or I'm just saying 5 years ago, we used to have these prototypers, right? I mean, engineers who would know a little bit of UX, who will build prototypes for you and things like that. Today, there's no role such as such, right? So I wouldn't be averse to the fact that yes, designer, if you can manifest it in the way best, you know, the original idea that you thought through, just bring it to the life. Don't look at it saying that, oh, I'm coding or I'm doing this work or anything. Similarly, if you are able to do a market analysis, a competitor benchmarking, right? You don't need to look at, oh, has the marketing team done something like that? They do it in a different way. Yeah, so what? You do it in a way that best helps you, right? So this again calls for not really the crashing, but it's again being more fluid and adaptable when it comes to things. But end of the day, we still need those really good craft people who are passionate about what they do and who thinks through most of these things. But a lot of those labor or the the manual effort around it can be augmented by tools.
Yeah. Love the insights there, Pradeep. That takes us to the end of the conversation, and I'm super curious to know when are you publishing your book, and also about your plans for next coming years, because I think you're working on a uh, you know a very important problem statement that needs to be adapted by, I think, the whole world, as many software companies as possible. What are your plans? Would love to get understand more around that.
I am a person who does not make too many plans as such, and I also take things as they come. Right. So definitely, I'm kicked about, thrilled about the book. I mean, always wanted to write a book, and the first time it is really happening, and we're somewhere, the finishing line is somewhere in sight, but still a lot of work to be done in terms of editing and fine tuning. And so this, again, the other day I was talking to somebody and said, this is a curse of being a designer, right? You're never satisfied, right? Even when your editor says, okay, we've closed this chapter, you still open that file and say, yeah, can we just do this or that, right? Somewhere we have to curb that, or bring it to a closure. Apart from that, like I said, no fixed plans in terms of what to do next in life. Some new adventure comes, I'm always up for it. Of course, I'm also thrilled about getting into research and doing my PhD, that too in a management institute, right? I mean, so yeah, looking forward to that.
Yeah, always fun to be a student.
Yes.
Thanks a lot for the conversation.
Thank you. And it's been a pleasure and honor to be here, Deepak. Thank you.
Likewise.